The one thing that I was willing to do then was know what I knew and leverage it, as well as learn new things, because I was trying to make a fairly big transformation then, moving from banking markets career to consulting without necessarily having the consulting background. So I just had to sort of invest in myself, back myself up and say, I can do it, which is how I landed my first gig as a consultant at Avantage. And I absolutely loved it. Again, a two-man team parachuted to the client, which was RBS. There was a vast array of loans moving from ABN AMRO to RBS. And my role then was to identify these are the credit risk models which are applied on ABN AMRO credits. If they were to move on RBS banking books, is there something we could do, use different models, assess risk differently or better, and reduce the capital charge? So that was essentially what I did. Got my hands dirty, read rules, applied them, and tried to see if there was any capital savings I could do as the loan book moved.
So what was it like for you going into consulting, and this was your second role in consulting? What was it like?
So you make a very interesting point, Mike. Before I decided on a career in consulting for those 3 or 4 years, I was warned by some of my friends that consultants, when you ask consultants what the time is, they tell you how watches are made and take your watch away in fees. So I entered consulting with eyes open. I think the only slight difference in consulting around the time of the financial crisis were, and as you would agree, Mike, is that banks were under immense pressure. They had financial contracts on their balance sheet that were marked to model, marked to myth, and nobody really knew whether they were solvent or not. So consultants, or big and small, if they were able to add a unique value in terms of helping banks identify these risks and better still try and save capital, which was scarce, they were able to differentiate themselves. And Avantage was able to do that. The second thing where consulting was probably slightly different to how both you and I described it a while ago, is that banks were under immense pressure then, right? The amount of work they had to do was a lot. Wrong mergers and acquisitions, capital saves, asset write-downs, deleveraging, and you call it. They did not have the budgets to hire permanent staff. And again, consultants did offer a fairly short-term, maybe slightly expensive solution to fix the problem immediately and hopefully fix it for good. When I look back on my experience post the financial crisis, I think a few things stand out. Was that I knew what the problems and the challenges in the banking sector were. I think my few years in consulting taught me a very structured approach to problem solving, how to look at a problem, how to do data-driven analysis, and how to present it to C-suite. And I think that is very, very important long-term for the role of a treasurer who partners with the board and with the C-suite of any firm that he or she works with. So coming back to my move, after my redundancy at Barclays, my option was I just wanted to sort of sit back and think what I wanted to do. And I'd say I was probably lucky to have gotten the role at IG first as an interim, as you know it. I know Chris Hill, Chris did speak with you about it as well. After I did that role for a few months, IG then decided to make me a permanent treasurer. And I absolutely took the challenge up with wide open arms. And I not even once regret it.